What's going on, guys? KEVINCAGE here with another crypto update. I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and let's kick things off. So we are heading into one of the most explosive financial cycles in modern history, and most people have no idea what's coming. And what I mean by that is between now and 2027, governments and corporations around the world are forced or will be forced to refinance tens of trillions of dollars in debt. And the only way out is to inject liquidity into the system, which has historically triggered bull runs. So what do we know today? $17 trillion in global sovereign debt sets to mature in 2025, and that is 40% of all global long-term debt issuance. And we have right here on S&P Global that the United States must refinance $4.9 trillion in 2025, so that is the total, and that's 40% of all global long-term debt issuance. We also have $2.3 trillion in corporate debt matures in the European Union by 2029. We have commercial real estate facing a wall of $1 trillion this year and peaking at $1.26 trillion by 2027. We can see that government debt interest costs hit their highest level since 2007. So the United States is spending more on debt interest than on defense. So basically what this means is the global financial system runs on refinancing, and when the debt pile gets way too big, central banks only have one way out, and that's liquidity. And when liquidity rises, risk on assets pump, and that's been true every single cycle, so Bitcoin, later altcoins, the Nasdaq tech stocks, real estate, gold, etc. So the TLDR is that M2 is going up, and that is long-term very good for crypto, and there's usually a lagging effect, and between now and 2027, trillions of dollars in debt has to be rolled over, so liquidity injections are very likely in the future. And I know it might sound silly to say this, but if this is going to be another liquidity cycle in the future, the crypto bull run might not necessarily have to be driven by hype, but actual necessity. And it wouldn't just be crypto, it'd be other risk on assets going up artificially because of injections of liquidity. So please keep that in mind for the future, even if you don't like my analysis of the cycles or just basic looks of 12 to 18 months after the halving, which is between now and October of 2025, keep that in mind for the future for M2 to likely keep climbing. Alright, so first up, we're looking at the Bitcoin dominance price chart and looking at the last two alt seasons and looking for a future alt season. Measuring the length and number of days from the peak or the start of last alt season, which is approximately March of 2017, even though Bitcoin got its first major move in May, so going from here and just measuring the length up until the start of the following alt season, that was roughly 1,400 days. Now, if we do the same thing and just roughly measure from the peak of last alt season up until where we're at today, we can see that we're well over 1,400 days. We're almost at like 1,550 as we can see, or 1,540. So right there, so looking at this has taken longer than the previous cycle. And I know I got very excited when Bitcoin did its first major move back in November because this is right around the length of time of the two previous cycles. So I thought that we were actually going to get alt season back here. Because as we can see, when Bitcoin got its first major move, that first full monthly candle body into new all-time highs, that was right around November at the same period, so I was wrong. Now we're looking at Bitcoin dominance at a Fibonacci retracement level before we retraced and then got the start of last alt season. So we had the 2017 alt season, we retrace up to the 618 essentially, and then we had another big crash. So we reached the 618, yes you could play with the swing high up here, but it really doesn't change it too much. So last cycle, before the start of alt season, we saw Bitcoin dominance retrace to a 618 Fibonacci retracement, so I was very excited back there, but this cycle has been different. We did hit the 618, but notice we are climbing higher. So for this cycle, we have climbed higher than the 618, and we are over the 702 Fibonacci retracement. What I'd like to see is for us to find our top, hopefully not going much higher than the 786. And the reason I'm saying that is that the momentum or the monthly RSI for Bitcoin dominance is basically at its highest level in history compared to previous cycles. So we are still not at the all-time high in terms of momentum, but that momentum is still high, so it's possible for Bitcoin dominance to run higher. So I'm still watching Bitcoin dominance, and this is on the monthly time frame. So every single candle body that we see is a 1 month period. So this is not the tomorrow chart or even the next week chart. And I believe all of this is still leading to the actual crash of Bitcoin dominance, which has historically been the alt season where alts go parabolic left and right. But in the short term, if Bitcoin dominance climbs as Bitcoin, the US dollar price chart pulls back, alts can still get hit pretty hard. So just be ready for volatility. So typical me, still talking about an alt season, I know, I'm just showing you what I believe and why I believe it, guys. You can take it with a grain of salt, but looking at the length of the last two alt seasons and speculating on another alt season. So 2017, from the crash to the bottom, was roughly like 300 days or like 10 months, which would be amazing. I guess I could measure this a bit better because it is closer to like 300 days if I kind of go right around there, but you get it. In last cycle's alt season around December 28th when it kicked things off and then ended around like early May was maybe like 120 days, so like 3 to 4 months. So that's what I'm continuing to expect in the future with the liquidity cycle. Whenever it happens, I would absolutely love to see a period of 2 months to even 6 months of pure excitement. And usually that's what we see with green being at the bear market bottoms for Bitcoin. We run significantly higher. We have a multi-year bear market every 3 to 5 years based on this debt refi cycle. I've been talking to a buddy and I see some valid looks of a type of flash wick if we were to see that, but I would still be looking at it like the 2013 flash wick as we're still at highs maintaining these levels. If it did crash like a March 2020 structure, I would just be very surprised to see this color, which is basically the bullrun index. It aggregates all of these different indicators. I just prefer monthly RSI because it shows these same levels basically. I just don't want to see this go into green. I want to see this maintain, even if it goes into yellow or a tinge of green. I still want to see us creating higher highs for Bitcoin to reach a cycle top, which has historically been dark red. So hopefully that makes sense. Dark red, cycle top, dark red, cycle top, dark red, cycle top, tied with the momentum, even though we made one more higher high. This is bearish divergence. And if you guys caught my video going over Collins' M2 Global Liquidity Indicator, which is completely free, global liquidity actually created a high and a higher high, and so did Bitcoin. So in the meantime, Bitcoin is still holding above the 8-month EMA. That's very important, being at new all-time highs, as we can see the candle bodies holding this level. Even if we get basic corrective structures, flash wicks, or just boring periods of consolidation, I want to see us staying above this level with monthly candle closes. And realistically, if Bitcoin looked weaker and started closing below the 8-month EMA, I would get really nervous of some type of big backtest of even the 50-month moving average, because we've seen that before here, kind of here with this double bottom, but we've never seen that before when Bitcoin is at a new all-time high, referring to being over the previous cycle top, which we're still above. So you can drive yourself crazy analyzing everything, but at the end of the day, we're all speculating. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this rant. I get it, I'm talking about the market going up or down, obviously, but the reason I think that we're in for a big volatile move is because of BVOL. This stands for Bitcoin's Historical Volatility Index. I've been talking about this forever because we've still been at lows and we haven't actually popped significantly in years. The last time we crashed was 2022, and this was during the period of Bitcoin's first major move. We can see that we got sizable spikes. So if Bitcoin's volatility index, this BVOL, gets a strong cross with momentum over 50, it's getting a lot closer to bullish territory like previous cycles, and that is not a guarantee of Bitcoin saying it has to go up or it has to go down. It doesn't guarantee any certain direction. What it does show is that a big move is on the horizon. So that's really my high-level expectation. The market is boring right now. We're in consolidation. It's a liquid, but volatility should spike up in the future. So hopefully when BVOL does pop up, whether it's up to the 50-month or in this purple box, it has a positive effect in terms of volatility on the market and not a bad one. And for me, the biggest deciding factor to look at the performance of the highest majority of altcoins right now is based on Bitcoin dominance in Bitcoin. If Bitcoin dominance stays here or continues to climb higher, as Bitcoin, the US dollar price chart, falls down, alts get hit really hard and people say, what the heck is going on? And when Bitcoin dominance finally finds its top and crashes, as Bitcoin is ideally making higher highs like the previous two alt seasons, assets pop off left and right and a lot of new investors hop in or are finally eager to hop in after an asset already does a 5x. So looking at Bitcoin on the monthly, the bullish case is that we maintain above this orange moving average, we're consolidating, and we keep going. Another scenario would be that I'm wrong and we do see a March 2020 crash like this fractal. I don't see it based on the momentum and the color, and if we did, I would actually be arguing that it looks more like this. And even just looking on the weekly time frame, we have the 8 and the 21 EMA, and looking at these previous death crosses after periods of consolidation. So we can see consolidating, we had the death cross where the orange cut down below under the 21 EMA, so the smaller time frame cuts down below the higher one, so that's a death cross, later leading to a recovery, but we did have a little downside before that. And then we also saw the same thing here. So we had like a 200 plus day range, we had the death cross right there. As it cuts through the purple, we're down a little bit lower, and then a recovery. So that's kind of what I see right now if this is going to be another death cross, and today we've already retested that level. So the Moonboy case is that we hold the 8-month EMA. It looks like a traditional cycle and we just explode in the future. This is another one that I'm open to because my bias remains the same. I am awaiting for another cycle, right or wrong, where we're just in another range similar to back here. This was a long range just like the last one. So we had that range, we had this range right here, just up, down, like a game of ping pong, leading to a recovery. And we're in this range as well today. So we can just kind of see this range. How long is it going to be? How short is it going to be? We'll find out. So this is just something that's running through my mind and I figured I'd share. Basically, you celebrate if we see Bitcoin break the previous high of 109K. Other than that, just biting my nails and waiting to see where we can actually find our bottom and hoping it's not below the 2024 high or even the 21 cycle top. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Even looking at Colin Talks Crypto's M2 indicator right here, this is offset of 0. So this is M2's value today. It has climbed as Bitcoin and crypto has just fallen down. But usually there is a correlation. We can see last cycle, M2 going up, crypto following. And I hope you enjoyed some of the debt statistics, just showing the argument for M2 to rise in the future. The Ethereum price chart looks terrible right now, so I'm just waiting for that to finally start climbing and find its bottom, because Ethereum going up is usually very good for a variety of altcoins, being one of the #1 smart contract platforms. Its impact when it finally finds its bottom and starts waking up again will be very good for DeFi, AMMs, oracles, all types of projects. And for XRP, at least how I read it, I want to see what Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance do, and I think that will determine if XRP 1 keeps running into new all-time highs or it pulls back under $2. So the point of this video is that M2 has a very strong correlation with Bitcoin risk on assets, including altcoins, and we want to see M2 keep rising, and it likely will over the next couple years. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you to those that hit the like button, and my advice, it might be silly, but I just think be ready for anything in this crazy market right now, especially considering the position of BVOL. So I hope everybody has a great day. We're going to run through some recent news in the next one, and hopefully Bitcoin can make a decision and break out of this range so we can get a lot more insight. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash the like button and let me know your thoughts down below. You can find all links to my crypto resources, including tools for charting, trading bots, wallets, portfolio trackers, and exclusive discounts right in my link tree in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.